This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
The U.S. government unveiled rules to govern the use of voluntary carbon credits on Tuesday, seeking to boost confidence in a nascent market after some high-profile offset projects failed to deliver the promised emissions reductions. The heads of the Treasury, Energy and Agriculture departments as well as President Joe Biden's top climate and economic advisors announced a joint statement of policy and principles to guide participation in voluntary carbon markets as part of its broader efforts to encourage their development. Voluntary carbon markets can help unlock the power of private markets to reduce emissions, but that can only happen if we address significant existing challenges, said Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
Oil prices rose in Asian trading on Wednesday on expectations major producers will maintain output cuts at a meeting this Sunday, and that fuel consumption should begin rising with the start of the peak summer demand season. Brent crude futures for July delivery added 15 cents, or 0.2%, to $84.37 a barrel by 0304 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate futures for July climbed 25 cents, or 0.3%, to $80.08. Both benchmarks gained more than 1% a day earlier. Traders and analysts expect the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, including Russia, known as OPEC+, to keep voluntary production cuts totaling about 2.2 million barrels per day in place.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol will host United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan at a summit on Wednesday, with talks expected to focus on business and investment, energy and cooperation in the defense sector. At a ceremony ahead of the summit, the UAE president is due to be welcomed by a flypast of Air Force jets, as South Korea seeks to tap the energy-rich Gulf states' investment potential. The summit comes after Yoon's state visit to Abu Dhabi early last year, when the UAE pledged $30 billion in investment in South Korean businesses in areas spanning nuclear power, defense, hydrogen and solar energy.
Imports of straight-run fuel oil, SRFO, to the U.S. Gulf Coast were set to climb to record levels this month as Mideast and African suppliers ramped up exports and U.S. refiners scrambled for heavy feedstocks, according to data from ship tracker Kepler. The increased imports of SRFO, a feedstock processed through secondary refining units and turned into products like gasoline and diesel, have helped fill a gap in heavy crude availability facing U.S. refiners. Supplies of heavy crude tightened after Mexico curtailed oil exports. More Canadian grades began moving east with the startup of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, and amid ongoing OPEC+ production cuts. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Iron ore futures prices extended their declines to a third straight session on Wednesday, as weakening fundamentals of the key steelmaking ingredient outweighed more property stimulus in top consumer China. The most traded September iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange fell 1.83% to 884 yuan and 50 fen, $122.09, a metric ton, as of 0119 GMT, after falling more than 2% on Tuesday. The benchmark June iron ore on the Singapore Exchange was 0.08% lower at $117.80 a ton.
Copper prices climbed on Wednesday on expectations of better demand from top consumer China, while a steady US dollar and rising inventories limited gains. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange was up 0.5% to $10,556.50 per metric ton by 0313 GMT, while the most traded July copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange gained 0.3% to 85,020 yuan, $11,729.81 a ton. The latest Chinese measures to support its property sector boosted copper demand prospects. Some of the megacities, including Shanghai, have lowered the minimum down payment ratios for homebuyers and relaxed some restrictions.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Malaysian palm oil futures rose on Wednesday, as demand from top buyers India and China as well as strength in rival Dalian contracts underpinned the market. The benchmark palm oil contract for August delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange gained 48 ringgit, or 1.21%, to 4,008 ringgit, $852.95 per metric ton by the midday break. Good demand from key destinations India and China as well as support from rival sunflower oil and soy oil have raised Malaysian palm oil futures to the 4,000 ringgit range, said Mitesh Sire, trading manager at Mumbai-based trading firm Kantilal Laxmichand and Company.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.